Hi, my name is Cecil Ortega, and I'm going to give you a special report tonight. What's up? My name is Cecil Ortega, and I'm giving you the best, the hands down, the best reporting that you will ever see ever in your life, and it's starting here right now, tonight. Let's get into it. The truth about the matter is this: black people are not the minority in this country like the government says. There is no way in hell, no way in hell, no way in hell that black people or indigenous Americans or Aboriginal Americans or Native Americans make up just 14%, of this nation. There is no way in hell that the indigenous black people of America makes up just 14% of the U.S. population. That is an utter lie from hell. All right, this was crafted sometime way back in the day in the 19 somethings. And they thought of an ideas to try to limit the power of black people in America. And they crafted this plan to call them minorities. That is just insulting. Well, minorities. Like, do you understand that a white man got on television and called you a minority, whatever the fuck that is? The nigga called you a minority. He got on national television and the minorities. Like, if that doesn't just sound like brainwashing, I don't know what is. So they kept using the term minority to get you to think that there is less of you than what there is. And then I got one more statistic after this, but they got on television and called you the minorities. They pulled up the false census. They got you do the census. They do something with the numbers, give you a false census. They rob you at the elections. Listen, there are more black people in the South than white people in a lot of these so-called red states. So you talking about the states that went for Trump last election, there are more black people in those states than white people. So somehow these black majority states somehow wind up voting for the Republican Party year after year after year. Okay, we know something funny happened in Florida in 2000, but you know, somehow these votes aren't getting voted, or the people's right to vote got taken away from them, so that you know, white people could win elections. Like, oh, you got a felony, now you can't vote, but we're gonna make sure that we target black people so we can get them not to vote. Okay, we got to target black people. We got the law saying that they can't vote once they're in prison, so we got to target them to make sure that we get them in prison. So just in case they want to be normal or they want to vote or something, and we can take away that right to vote now. That way the elections look cleaner and we don't always have to lie and cheat, because God knows if we get caught, it's going to look very, very, very bad on us, and it's going to let all the animals out. Okay, we can't have the animals running around, so we need some order. So we got to do something on paper. So we got to target black man. That way he can't vote. All right, if we take away his right legally to vote, it won't look so bad. Oh, you gave up your rights when you committed that crime. You gave up your rights then. All right, there's nothing in the Constitution that says that this is constitutional. In fact, if you look deep enough in the Constitution, you can probably come to the conclusion that taking away someone's right to vote is unconstitutional. You could probably come to that conclusion by just reading the 14th Amendment in its entirety. But we're not going to do that. Okay, we're not about that. We'll take away your rights federally, statewide, even if it is unconstitutional. Okay, so the white boy dropped the play on the black people. You know, black people who had no control over the society, who lost a lot of their major political control during Jim Crow, are just kind of forced to put up with it. You know, if you know, having the right to sit down where the fuck you want to sit down at is not enough, then now you gotta go after these politicians just to get some more fucking rights. So, you know, we live in this fucking society, you know. We're put down, we're marginalized, we're called minority when clearly there's something funny with that money. You know, but when you look at whites and blacks and you look honestly, you know, you look at places that are predominantly white and there are also not a lot of people. You look at places that are predominantly white, there are not a lot of people. So you look at major cities, you'll see more brown. The million people cities, the biggest city in the world, you got mostly brown people, you know. And then we separate Mexicans and blacks. You know, we know that the New York blacks are just dark-skinned Mexicans. The Philly blacks are just dark-skinned Mexicans. The blacks in Chicago, I'm wearing a Chicago Bears jersey. The blacks in Chicago, guess what? The blacks in Chicago are just dark-skinned Mexicans that moved there in ancient time. All right? So, you know, we divide up people. Oh, you're Mexican. You know, that person's Native American. There was no border before the Europeans came. The European and British formed a border. They created a border. They create borders, but, you know, they made a border here in North America. All right, they made a border in North America, and that was their reality. And yeah, so there is no way that black people are the minorities in this country. These red states, these Donald Trump states, they got mostly black people in them. They got more blacks than white in each one of these states. And yet, white people win the election year after year. There's something funny. That's all I'm saying. There is something funny going on. All right? That's dictatorship. When a government plays with the votes, you are living in a dictatorship. When a government plays with the voters, plays with the votes, you are not in a democracy. You are in a dictatorship. Even if you don't want to buy and sell that America is a dictatorship, America is a dictatorship. It's not a democracy because the government is rigging the votes of the people. That is dictatorship. We know what happened in 2000. All those black votes did not get count. Now, there are laws, okay? There are laws in Florida. There are laws in Florida. But no law trumps the Constitution of this country according to the law. So obviously all those black votes, because the brother of the candidate was the governor at the time, you really can't. I mean, if that's not idiotic, I don't know what is. Oh, we're gonna trust this snouchy white man. We're gonna trust these untrustworthy white people to do everything. Yeah, these white people are just the greatest. Go white people. You know? Oh, we're gonna trust these white people to, you know, We're going to trust these white people to do the right job. And yeah, go white people. Yay. No. 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 You don't trust these white people? If they look untrustworthy, they are untrustworthy. They should not be there. That's when you stand up. That's when you stand up. That's when you stand up. You have to stand up. If the government is not following the law, this country says that you have the right to overthrow the government. Some people call that right the Second Amendment. Some people call it the First Amendment. But you have the right to overthrow the government. It is even in the Articles of Confederation. You have the right. That is what the government says. The highest law in the government gives you the right, if things aren't going down the road of democracy, which is fair and equal, if those laws are not given to you, which is your basic rights as a human in this country, there's no law on the books that trumps the Constitution according to the framework of this country. You can dice it up any way you like to. But according to the framework of the country, the Constitution is king. All the military and the cops, they're all supposed to serve the Constitution. Now, do they? Hell no, they don't serve the Constitution. Neither does the government. Neither does the state government. Neither does the local government. None of them serve the Constitution. But that is the framework of the country, to serve the Constitution. So you can't talk about laws and not talk about the Constitution, because the Constitution, according to the framework of this country, is the highest law. So there's no way you can have a conversation about following the law without following the laws of the conversation of the Constitution. There's no way. None. Bye. You can't do it. Now, I know that every white person wants to ignore that Constitution because they are addicted to white privilege. They have realized that they have the job because of white privilege. They have that job because of white privilege. Every white person in America has that job because of white privilege. Never would you hire a white person over a black person in reality. Like, no, that black person could work harder than you. That black person is stronger than you. He's smarter than you. Why would I hire you over him? He knows what he's doing. I don't know what the fuck you doing. You just come here for a paycheck. There he is, white man. That's the real white man right there. With his tongue sticking out and shit. Were you some kind of trained animal? So are you. You're a different kind of animal, though. You are smarter than me. And you could do this lifestyle quite easily. And that would be the correct answer. Yay, white man, you got it right. Oh, Whitey got it right that time. Never did Whitey not get it right. Whitey got it right. Hey, good for you, Whitey. Yeah, you got it right. But that's who the white man is. And that's the nigga you put in charge. Yeah, I didn't put him in charge. But you voted for someone who was white. You know? What happened to the Black Panther Party? That was an independent party. The Black Panther Party was an independent party. Full of black people. Independent-ass black people started their own Republican and Democrat. Called the Black Panther Party. That was the last time we had some shit like that. They got old Huey on drugs and shit. And, you know, some of them went to jail and shit. Some got murdered. You know, they got rid of that. They didn't get that damn Black Panther out of there. Oh, black people can't have their own party. Fuck that shit. Y'all niggas can't have your own party. Yet we got a democracy. You gotta be honest sometimes. How can we have a democracy if the government, through a program known as COINTELPRO, so the government with the FBI, hired the FBI because the FBI is a private organization, which is like a private police force. The FBI, which is a private police force, after the Pinkertons, they started creating new police forces, and the FBI was one of them. The FBI is not part of the government. So they hired the FBI to do a program collectively known as COINTELPRO, which they target black people. All right, that's how Martin Luther King got assassinated, which he was assassinated by the government. That's how Malcolm X got assassinated. He was assassinated by the government. Same with old boy from the Black Panthers too, Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton was assassinated by the cops, but the Chicago cops and shit was indeed funded by COINTELPRO. It all comes back to COINTELPRO. So COINTELPRO was an unconstitutional movement headed by the federal government and aims to destroy black people in politics.